Good morning. It is Friday. It is October the 3rd. We're entering into the month of October. I thought I would do a short video to talk a little bit about what things are like these days in this part of the country. First of all, the weather is turning a little bit cooler. It's not cool or cold, but it's just not as humid. October is a very important month because we start to turn our focus toward the end of the year, where we can wrap up things that are really important to ourselves. One of those things we should talk about is whether or not we reached our goals for the year. Now, that assumes that people have set goals for the year, which brings me to a little story. So I gave a talk to a business recently on success, and what I did to start was I held up a target with a bullseye in the middle, and I called up somebody and I gave them a little rubber dart, and I said, hey, you think, and I put them about 2 feet from me, I said, you think you could hit this target with that dart? And the lady says, oh, absolutely, no problem, and she did. So then I blindfolded her and I spun her around. She didn't know what direction she was facing in. I gave her the darts and now hit the target. And she was facing away. She threw the target, hit the people in the audience, and everybody laughed. And they were wondering what the point was. So I said, took the blindfold off, and she saw which direction she was in. And I said, you can't reach a goal that you haven't set, just like you can't hit a target that you can't see. And I said, the important point of this is to always set goals. Now, this was a business meeting, and these people all had prescribed targets for their job. And I told them, I said, look, these are goals, but they're not goals that you set for yourself. These are goals that were set for you. And I encouraged everybody to set their own goals because, we can set goals short-term, medium, long range. And I think that it's important for us to set achievable goals. And sometimes we just set goals that are just too hard to reach and too impossible to make. And so my goal at the end of the year is to say, look, reevaluate your goals. If you haven't reached them, reset them, make them more reasonable. And good morning. And make those goals more reasonable so that you have a better opportunity to reach them. If you haven't set any goals at all, let me suggest that you do, and figure out the areas in life that are important to you. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your spiritual life, perhaps maybe it's your professional life, which you really want to accomplish. Whatever it is, set some very reasonable short-term goals. What do I want to do in the next 30 days? What do I want to do by the end of the year? If you had set goals at the first of the year, you could have been checking them periodically during the year to see if you had reached them. I think that goals are so important to set because it gives us something to work towards. When I was a lot younger and I was training in Taekwondo, the system was really set up very nicely because you had the ability to every 3 months hit a target. So you started with a white belt, and then you went to a yellow belt, and then you had yellow stripes, put stripes on your belt. You were always trying to achieve a goal. And obviously the long-term goal was to be a black belt, and it took years to get a black belt. And then once you got your black belt, it didn't stop there, because then you had to retest for black belt to become a permanent black belt. So you were probationary and then a decided black belt. And once you got there, it didn't end, because then you could go for first degree senior, you can go to second degree senior, and it was always a way for you to be incentivized to continue to train and train more effectively. I suggest to you today that you use that strategy in training yourself for life. Set yourself some short-term goals that are reachable, knowing that there is an ultimate goal. Maybe you want to be a millionaire, Well, you got to start by creating an income of, a few $100s a month that you can just stash away. And then once you get that income set, then you can increase it and continue to increase it. Find a way to reach your goals. I would be willing to talk to anybody that wants to have some help doing that. Feel free to private message me or to reach out to me by Facebook, or if you want to try to contact me, you can reach me at jmoscona@gmail.com. This is me signing off, hoping that you reach all your goals and that you're ultimately very successful in life. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful October.